Seems like Hollywood needs to watch out. One of the most iconic action stars in movie history, Sylvester Stallone, has decided to put his foot down on much of the woke political fervor taking over and ruining the film industry. It's been widely reported from insiders on his new movie set that Sylvester isn't having it with any woke crap in his films, in what can only be seen as an unapologetic pushback against an industry that is quick to ostracize actors that don't toe a certain social line on popular issues. He's reported to have lambasted calls to incorporate woke sensitivities at every turn in his production, saying, and I quote, "I won't have a bunch of granola moms and their soy boy husbands telling me what I can and cannot do on my set with my crew. The wokeness can get lost. We don't need it." Honestly, I cannot imagine someone else saying it as straight to the point as Sylvester. Having defined the archetype of the American hero in the 70s and 80s, it's hard to blame him, seeing almost no successor in modern Hollywood to carry forward that same theme and action hero figure. But there is, of course, a risk. It's the risk that gives every actor in Hollywood a choice, and that is whether to stay in line on issues like politics, religion, and social issues, or else become an industry pariah. We've seen what happened to people like Mel Gibson, and to a lesser extent, even Matthew McConaughey, for their Christian beliefs. It's clear that Sylvester isn't afraid to be another name on that list, being the kind of person to not conform to popular narratives for the sake of it. And I've actually met him in person. He's a really nice guy. He won't let political narratives stifle his creative output as a producer himself. In an industry today that constantly makes actors and directors have to micromanage the cast, plot, theme, and audience of their craft along certain social narratives, Sylvester Stallone isn't having any of that anymore, even if it means losing favor with the elite Hollywood crowd. And if you think about it, is there even any other figure of his stature that can add that counterweight to modern Hollywood? Perhaps Arnold Schwarzenegger is another name from that era that comes to mind, though his politics have been much more mild in interest of keeping him inside the popular crowd. That's clearly not something that Sylvester Stallone is very interested in with this stance that he's taking. And that's not all, because if you closely observe the arc of his recent films, you can trace a common theme in his characters and plot that tries to revive the patriotism, strength, and family values that define the era that he grew up in. That's what you even see in the final installment of the iconic Rambo franchise in 2019 called Rambo Last Blood, where Sylvester as a proud American hero fights against cartels in Mexico to rescue his granddaughter. I love the Rambo franchise. It's a theme that instills pride and patriotism that you see less and less in what modern Hollywood churns out. And as someone who has used the medium of movies his entire life, that is what he's also doing now. Here's a hilarious clip from his drama series Tulsa King, where his character pokes fun at the idea of everybody these days having their own pronouns.
What's going on with this country in general nowadays? Does that mean like your generation? Seriously. Come on. And these pronouns. What the is with the pronouns? He, she, him, they, the, boom, bang, bop, bang, cool. You know what my pronoun is? Yes. Time's up. It, as in it, can't take this shit.
It's genius because it leaves people with very little to come at him for considering these are just movie characters, but it still allows him to say out loud what he wants to say to his audience. And what makes me respect the man even more is the fact that he's been consistent in his ideals from the very start, in wanting to revive the films of the past that spoke about morality, patriotism, religious values, family, and respect for tradition. For example, here's one of the earliest interviews from Sylvester Stallone all the way from 1977, clearly talking about his inspiration for the classic character of Rocky Balboa.
You've written several scripts before, but was there any special reason for you to write this one, to write Rocky?
Well, I felt at the time that cinema, at least the movies I had been seeing, were at an all-time low. Everything was anti-society, anti-Christ, anti-government, anti-everything, and there was no one to root for. And I also feel that films are very cyclic, so I wanted to get back into the cycle of the films of the 40s and the 50s, where people say, hey, gee, I missed the good old films, yet Hollywood hasn't taken heed and hasn't made any good old-fashioned type films where morality was at the forefront.
Think back to that incredible legacy and story development over half a century and you start to see why Sylvester Stallone would be fed up with what has become of Hollywood today. Has anybody else noticed the glaring lack of strong action hero figures today along the lines of Arnold, Sylvester, Bruce Willis, or Jean-Claude Van Damme? Or, of course, Dolph Lundgren, who I have also met. It can be an accident that so many people reminisce about those figures and miss looking up to them as inspirations. It's because with the breakdown of all the things that used to unite and define us as a nation are falling apart, and new ideologies and intersectional worldviews are swooping in to fill the gap. That is where what you may call woke ideas actually come from. But that still is just a symptom of a deeper problem that inflicts us as a society that I'm sure Sylvester Stallone has seen develop in front of his own eyes over the decades. Creativity and positive social messaging has given way to left-wing talking points and constantly having to tiptoe around subjects and storylines for fear of offense. That's not how good cinema is made, and it's very evident from a lot of the creative duds we've seen in recent times, from Hollywood franchises to Disney remakes. Sylvester Stallone has also been vocal about what he believes the role of Christianity is in bringing people together, even incorporating the idea into a scene in Rocky as a metaphor to communicate this idea.
People don't realize the first shot is this shot of Christ, and it comes down over the beams of the church. It says resurrection, then it goes to Rocky being pummeled. And what I was trying to say is this man has been chosen for a journey. He's at the lowest strata of society, and we're watching him eventually find Christian ideals, that he finds love, he starts to bring people together, all these what I would call society's outcasts, and they all come together for one unified family.
Maybe it takes someone like him to say it loud. He's done it all and lived through it all, and he's not beholden to any person or industry that can control his reach or success anymore. Even more importantly, he's got no other reason to speak what he believes is the truth than the fact that he has conviction in it. He's got nothing on the line anymore and has seen the contrast between today and 50 years ago to communicate where the industry's going wrong. That's what makes his words carry so much weight and value for his fans all around the world.